Hello there ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul TX14 Walsh, welcoming you to some all new World of Tanks gameplay on the channel today. In this instalment we're going to be taking a look at a Frontline gameplay featuring the WZ-132, the Tier 8 Chinese light tank, my favourite tank in World of Tanks, due to the fact it's a hybrid light tank with medium tank firepower and light tank manoeuvrability and concealment. The gameplay in question is an assault gameplay on the map Normandie within the second stage of the 2020 Frontline campaign, where the reason I wanted to feature this gameplay is twofold. Firstly, it's one of my proudest gameplays in Frontline state, if not my proudest, and secondly, because I think we can learn quite a bit in terms of light tank gameplay from this one match. Albeit, I'm an average player in World of Tanks, so some of the tips here may be applicable to you or not applicable to you, so don't read too much into it. With that being said, we open up by rushing towards Objective Bravo, and I'm grateful for having spawned south of Objective Bravo here. In that, this objective is one of the hardest ones for the defending team to defend if the attacking team take the initiative. What I found is, as an attacker, if you can get a light tank in behind the houses on the northern side of the objective, particularly the fixed construct house on the very northern edge, not the one that can be shot apart on the northwestern edge, i.e. the one off to the left hand side right now, this means the enemy team will have to throw defenders into the objective in order to prevent you from capturing it. Alternatively, they've got to rush down the eastern side of the Bravo zone in order to be able to get damage into you and stop you from capturing by eliminating you, alternatively just blocking you through hits if they've got the engineering perk equipped. And the enemy Progetto 46, as we can see on the eastern side of the Bravo point now, is where they all need to go roughly in order to prevent this capture progress. But because we've had ample support from our team in pushing into Objective Bravo, that's deterred the enemy team from rushing in to stop us from capturing it, and at the same time it's been able to push the enemy team back quickly for a quick capture, and this is where the second part of being able to accrue a large amount of pointage towards your successive ranks in Frontline can occur. We already picked up a lot of progress from Private to Sergeant through just getting 50 capture points on the Bravo objective. But now with the enemy team running, we're able to get 2 free shots into the rear of the first of the 2 retreating Progetto 46s, one of which we can see on the minimap what we're shooting at now, and the second one you're about to see, it'll be going across the bridge off towards Objective Charlie. But during this retreating phase, because the enemy team is essentially forced to retreat unless they want their vehicles to be destroyed by an AI bombardment, this means as the attacker it's your chance to really go on the offensive. And in the early game this is even more prevalent because think, you've got your initial spawn plus a 1 respawn. If you lose both of those within the opening 5 minutes of the game, that means you're going to be sat out of the game for a considerable period of time and not able to take part. So in these early stages, players are less likely to want to trade away their vehicles in trying to hold on to an objective when the AI bombardment's incoming, because they haven't got the respawns in order to trade their tank away. In the later stages of the game, where the respawns keep coming in every 5 minutes and the game's gone on for a significant period of time, that mentality will switch, but in this early stage it can be exploited. And at the same time, of course, we have to be wary as an attacker that we don't want to use up both our initial spawns, otherwise we're going to be out of the fight for a considerable period of time. So it's a double-edged sword. But having now seen that the retreat phase is over and our team's able to push in towards Objective Echo, I'm going to do something here where I'm going to be taking a huge risk and I get very lucky. And that is, I'm going to try and cut around the rear of the Progetto 46 who retreated behind the rock off to our left hand side. However, this has meant that I've had to go out of bounds into the Foxtrot objective, and in return that means that I've been hit by an AI artillery bombardment that tracked me in the water, but thankfully I was able to move out of the water enough to avoid being in the drowning phase of being submerged. And instead I'm now behind this Progetto 46 who's turned their turret towards me, but in return that's given a friendly Progetto 46 the ability to put some shells into the rear of this enemy Progetto. We unfortunately both miss one another. We're experiencing a little bit of latency from the server at this point. I'm down to a 1 shot, but thankfully the enemy Progetto uses their last shell and it hits my gun rather than the hull of my vehicle, meaning that I'm able to finish them off and they're not able to finish me off. Riding my luck somewhat there, I must admit. But within all events, whether it be sporting, gaming, etc., there's always an element of luck, and you have to ride it. Now, having eliminated, that enemy Progetto 46, we're now going to take a quick peek into Objective Echo, seeing if we can spot anything just to get some quick spots. But it looks as though instead we get spotted by the Pershing, and here I rightfully decide, right, I can't afford to go any further forward. I'm a 1 shot for pretty much everything bar some of the enemy light tanks. If they spawn on this side or come charging around, it's time to go repair. And now during this lull period, it's worth actually talking about the perk I've selected to use for Frontline, and that is Engineering. It works very well in my opinion on most vehicles, but prevalently on light tanks, and that is because light tanks are able to harness most, if not all, of the benefits the engineering perk provides. Let's go through them as an attacker. As an attacker, engineering will give you the ability, when it's maxed out, to capture objectives at a much faster rate. On top of that, it will give you the ability to repair faster within the resupply circles, or rearmament repair we should say, in the resupply circles. But it also, from what I remember, drops the reload time of the resupply circles, meaning that you can repair more frequently, and that is something which aligns well with a light tank, because you do not naturally, unless you're playing the LT-432, the Russian premium light tank, you do not naturally have the armour to be able to bounce shells well in a light tank, so you are going to take hits when you get spotted or you make one of those bold and daring manoeuvres. Now here, charging over towards Objective Alpha, what we realise is that objectives Bravo and Charlie have been secured, and our team can start to push the fight into the second row of objectives on those ones, but it's normally best, if you want to maximise the time available as the attacking team, to take all the objectives in a relatively quick fashion. So we make our way towards Objective Alpha, because our team is starting to capture it. We've got an LT-432 on there, and we've also got an Object 252U making our way on, but not quite capturing it at the rate that we'd perhaps expect. So adding a third tank in here with the engineering perk is only going to help, and that also gives us the opportunity to boost our progress from Sergeant to the next rank up. Now you'll note that we got spotted on the way in towards Objective Alpha, and that's a recon plane that spotted us, I reckon, because there was no clear line of sight from what I could see to a potential bush or position where a light tank or where the spotted enemy vehicles could see us, so I'm suspecting it's a reconnaissance plane. And that's one minor gripe I do have with the Frontline mode, just to make a detour in the commentary here. I wish we would be told when we've been spotted by an enemy tank versus when we've been spotted by a recon plane, just to help some of us out who aren't perhaps as au fait with the spotting mechanic, and also that way it just leads to a little bit less frustration. I've had a bit of frustration with the recon planes every so often. But minor grumble out the way, focusing again. We're able to take Objective Alpha. We didn't really do anything there as part of that capture. We did take a small number of hits from an airstrike, but we've seen that our progress up towards the next rank has been bolstered, and now we decide to actually take some damage off of the Progetto 46 and the 53 TP, because we can afford to be shot twice before we get eliminated, potentially a third time with the Progetto through 2 shots in. But in return, we've been able to get some shots into those vehicles, and also a tiny bit of spotting assist damage, which means we're literally on the edge of going up the next rank. And now we're ready to push in towards Objective Delta, and with a repair point just off to our right hand side, we're now going to make our way in there. This is the prime time to be ready to push into Delta as a light tank, and this is my favourite objective as an attacker, because Delta is a very open play area, and if you can get a light tank into the capture point within the opening minute of this objective becoming available, and you've got a lot of teammates ready to go, well, as you're about to see, the potency of a light tank on this objective cannot be understated. We're spotted, we suspect that's most likely going to be because of a recon plane, so we're taking evasive manoeuvres first and foremost. I'm looking up at the sky to try and see if there is a plane above, some sort of indicator to tell me. You can see a Scorpion G's been spotted up on the very western edge of this objective area. I decide to use the ravine here in order to creep along towards Objective Delta, but in doing so, note right now I'm spotting the IS-3 off to our eastern side, and by continuing along this path I'm actually going to be expanding my radius of spotting all the way across the centre of this objective play area. I mean, as we pick up the spotting damage on the IS-3, we already get moved up to Lieutenant from Sergeant, and we continue to accrue some spotting damage on the IS-3. We just spotted the Batshat 12T who's up northwest of us, and now we're going to sit on Objective Delta and see if we can get the enemy team to react to us, as we're going to throw a shell at the enemy IS-3 and unfortunately toss it into the side of our friendly STG, but fortunately friendly fire's not on, and we spot an enemy FV-4202 here. We're not going to shoot, we'll just keep them spotted. Now, something you may be wondering about at this point, well, now that time's progressed and everybody's got their artillery and airstrikes available, as we can see there, of our team throwing some damage down the FV and we're getting the spotting for it, how do we avoid a situation whereby the enemy team just decides to throw a load of artillery and airstrikes onto an objective to get the light tank who's taking it? Well, my plan is you can't deal with that in terms of preventing it from happening, but what you can do is try to be smart in where you position yourself. And I've decided to actually take a position where, based on the enemy vehicles who may have those consumables available, such as the artillery strike and the airstrike, they may not think that I'm in this position right now. So I position myself such as to be in a position I'd be less expected to be in, whereas our batch at 12T is in a more common or popular spot in taking objective delta, and that's how I'm trying to avoid receiving that bombardment damage. And it's worked out perfectly here with us picking up just over 120 capture points, and that means we've completely cleared the lieutenant progress and we're already almost halfway through moving through captain into major. And capturing points is key, in my opinion, if you want to go through the ranks fast, and especially so in a light tank. If you can be the sole light tank that's on an objective for a very long period of time, with the engineering perk equipped, you are going to see your ranks progress massively. But here we now make a bit of an interesting play. One thing I know from experience of playing Frontline on this map is that once your team, as the attackers, has taken objective delta, the enemy team reacts in one particular way. And that is, they will amass a huge number of spawns in Objective Echo and move up into this corner we're about to turn around to try and prevent the attacking team from overrunning the northwestern corner of Objective Echo and essentially vomiting tanks into Objective Echo. And here's the counterforce in the enemy team. We drive right in front of it and we take a number of hits and then we decide to jump off the cliff. It's not as though I've practiced this a number of times. I've had to do it multiple times in Frontline. And by doing so here and going down the cliff, we now see that a WZ-132 on the enemy team decides to follow suit, and they don't quite make it down the hill safely and blow up instead. You've got to land more firmly on the side of your tracks by the looks of things in order to guarantee your safety, which we did versus what they did. Now, of course, that was a gamble to play there. There could have been one more vehicle that could have thrown a shell into us successfully and that would have taken us out of the game. But every so often, as I said earlier, you have to ride your luck and take gambles. And now that we've got 2 fresh spawns, at the time, by the way, I wasn't thinking about trying to complete this one game with just a single vehicle. Just keep that in mind. But now that we've got those 2 additional spawns, we can feel comfortable in starting to take a couple of gambles and not worrying as much about keeping our tank alive. And here, having repaired the vehicle, now I'm thinking, right, where do I need to be to help progress things? Well, let's play back what we did for the first row of objectives, so Alpha through to, Charlie. What we did, every time we took an objective, we moved immediately over to the next objective on the same line. While our teams made a major success of taking objective Delta, so really what we want to do is try and cascade into objective Echo, while some of our teammates have decided to go further north from objective Delta to attack objective 1. By doing this, as we make our way towards Objective Echo, what we'll be able to do is extend the duration of the frontline match so everybody's more likely to pick up higher ranks and help their progress towards unlocking the tokens for those special vehicles. Personally, I'm aiming for the Bat Chateau 4. I believe that's what it's called, the French one at tier 9. We extend that time, enable everybody to accrue more points, and on top of that, we also provide ourselves with a greater number of opportunities to potentially just build experience because we can do something else other than what we may have been previously doing. And we know that going up into that corner between Objective Delta and Echo is just not going to work for us because there's a big stalemate forming at the moment. The enemy team's amassed its units there, our team has amassed its units there, nobody's going to break through in the near future. So I've looked at the map, and that's something unfortunately you can't see in the replay here. I'm constantly flicking open the map and seeing where vehicles are located and how many vehicles are on my side of the map at any given point to try and figure out where I can and cannot go. And what I've noticed here is there is a huge opportunity to flank around the entire enemy force that's blocking our team's cascade down into Objective Echo from the northwestern corner. And I'm going to throw some shells into the rear of the defending forces, starting off the Ryan Montel there. And then I'm going to be looking at the T-44 who's got their back to me currently, albeit that T-44-100 is going to react quite adequately in coming charging down the hill and trying to force me back. And so at this point, those guys will be aware it's a WZ-132 that's flanked them, and they'll need to deal with me accordingly because I could technically rush onto Objective Echo right now. And right on call, there's the T-44-100. They come running down the hill here, and I'm starting to reverse and trying to get away. Hoping to throw a shell into the upper side horde, the T-44-100 there, not successful. We put it into their well-armoured turret, trying to get through approximately 190mm of armour if I remember correctly. It's not going to happen with our gun, and we've loaded premium just in case we need to trade with the T-44-100 and just try to score some damage. Sticking to our 10% rule in terms of premium load versus everything else. It's a personal rule I apply. The T-44-100 isn't advancing the fight here, and I point out to the Tiger on our minimap, hey Tiger, can you come over this way? I'm not typing anything in the chat, just pointing it out through a couple of little, essentially hand signals on the minimap. They've decided they don't want to come back this way. Fair play to them, they choose how they want to play, and I've got to react to that accordingly by deciding, you know what, I can't win a fight against the T-44-100 frontally. They're going to at least match me, if not surpass me in terms of damage per minute, and I haven't got the armour they have. I only need to miss one shot and get some poor rolls and it'll be in their favour. So instead what I decide to do here is think, right, I've already progressed the fight down into that side of Objective Echo. I've made the enemy team have to think about their positioning. This means that our team will be able to put more pressure up on the northwestern corner. Our team will be able to put pressure up on the southern side of Objective Echo. But the enemy team still have a force, by the looks of things, on the northeastern and eastern sides of Objective Echo. Nobody's playing the eastern side on our team. Let's go play it. An analogy for this would be, have you ever watched a football match on TV and you've noticed, particularly a lower league football match, but it happens in the top football league matches as well. You'll see that all the players seem to be clustered on one side of the pitch and there's tons of open space which one player's in. That's the principle I'm applying here, something that I picked up from physical education in secondary school. Look for the space and utilise the space accordingly, because if nobody's using that space and you do, you'll normally get an advantage, unless there's a very clear reason why they shouldn't be using that space and you shouldn't be using it. And here, able to flank a T-25 Pilot 1, take them out of the game with a single shot, and now we're going to continue flanking around here, and notice on the minimap our lands and seas picked up on what I'm doing, and is now going to exploit the space as well. If one leads, others will follow. It's a principle. And we come around here to shoot the Progetto 46 in the rear. I'm not expecting to take the fight with the Progetto here, so I'm going to start running. May have to take a shell to this, but I want to bait that Progetto onto the Lanson Sea, which the Progetto can't have known would be coming this way. The Progetto takes a shell. We've gone up to Major through throwing our shells into the Progetto, and the Progettos decide to turn their gun back round and look towards Objective Echo to try and prevent capture progress. And in return, we progress the flank now, shooting the Progetto in the backside once again. A very clutch shot there, right into the rear right-hand side of their vehicle as it was being angled away. And now we can continue to push forward, and we'll look towards this enemy Lanson Sea. They've tried repairing, they've been unsuccessful. We get shot in the back by the Barask, I'll talk about that in a minute. And we're going to finish off this Lanson Sea, get them out of the game. And then as for this Progetto, well, nobody's able to get a shot on them at the moment by the looks of things, so I'll come around and throw another shell in and track them in the process. And our teammates will be able to finish them off, and we pick up some tracking damage. And that's Objective Echo wiped out. And now there's one more objective to take, and that is Objective Foxtrot. And we're going for a repair here, what are the damage that we received in the process of taking Objective Echo. Or I should say, helping our team take Objective Echo. Now, let's come back to that thing about the Barask. One of the difficulties with the Normandie map, and it's also on the snow map as well, I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, my apologies, is that as you get to the second row of objectives, but even in the first row of objectives on the snow map, there's a lot of open space, and it's not necessarily just within each objective zone. Side-by-side objectives such as Echo here to Foxtrot will have a lot of open space between them where players can shoot across the objectives, and that's what we saw with the Barask there, who was in a position to shoot at us in the rear as we were trying to flank round into Objective Echo. They shot at us from the northwestern corner of the play area of Objective Foxtrot, and that's something which we can get caught out by quite easily. And a light tank exploiting the space also has its weaknesses of the fact that others can exploit the space as well. And here we cause a little bit of a traffic jam with an EBR 75 FL10. This was entirely my fault, and I do apologise to the FL10 player for doing this. Did apologise in the game, if I remember correctly, and if they're watching this video, I am very sorry for causing a traffic jam. Very British of me, I get that. But anyway, we throw the shell into the SU-130 PM there, and we're looking towards the 703-122, the Object 703. Aren't able to get a shot in, but what we can see is our progress towards Major now is roughly 60 to 65%. And with Objective Foxtrot not being contested at the moment by our team, i.e. nobody's on it, I'm seeing this as a prime opportunity to farm some quick and easy objective points, so I'm rushing over there. But look at the minimap right now, you'll note that everybody who's on this side of the map is going to notice that opportunity, and it's like a swarm of bees heading towards the hive mind nest, in that we're just charging over. Everybody wants their points of the day, everybody's coming to the honey, and in rushing over here, we're not exactly going to get that many points as everybody charges on, but you know what, it'll be a little contribution towards getting to the general rank. We're not that far away now. And by getting on the objective here, again, I'm going to apply the principle of trying to sit away from where the vehicles on my team have been spotted, and on top of that, the less common areas to place a vehicle on these objectives. This is a more open one, so you've got a bit more flexibility in that regard. Having taken Objective Foxtrot then, we can see we're only 1 or 2 shots by the looks of things away from getting that general rank. We're almost there, so how are we going to get it? Well, again, we're in the retreating phase of Objective Foxtrot. There's this P-44 Pantera who's retreating out of the objective at a very fast velocity to try and get away from the huge swarm of friendlies. I on my team going after them, including myself. We get one shell in, they're running off, and we take a return shell from a Centurion 5-1 who's well positioned further north of Objective Foxtrot, defending Objective 5 in particular. We also bounce a shell from an enemy FV-4202 who's located just off to the right hand side relative to the Centurion 5-1. And we decide here, you know, it's a prime time to take a quick repair before charging in to get that final shot on target that's going to give us that general rank. And I decide here, right, I'm just going to go for it and toss a shell in. We need one penetrating shell to do it. Let's go charging towards the Centurion 5-1 and make them pay for shooting us earlier. We've also got that T-28 prototype just behind them who we could rush in on and take out as well, or at least achieve a hit on. But things don't quite work out as perhaps planned, in that as we charge towards the Centurion 5-1, we bounce a shell off their front plate, to be expected. It's quite a well-armed plate because that's a Centurion 7 haul from what I remember, don't quote me on that. And the T-28 prototype falls to our barrasque. So instead I decide, right, I really want to get this hit in. So let's go up towards this ridgeline here and look towards the enemy vehicles on the other side of it. This Progetto 46, you're going to be the recipient of one armor piercing shell, sir or madam, and there's the general rank, as we take 2 shells in return from the Progetto. But you know what? We achieved that general rank. It's time to boogie our haul, boogie out of here, and go get some more repairs. We get our driver back in action. We also pick up a little bit of spotting assistant damage here. In fact, a nice amount on the Scorpion G there. Objective 5 goes up in smoke. Our team mass over it and swarm it to pieces, and now we can go repair. And keep in mind earlier what I said about the engineering perk, in the fact that it reduces the reload time on the resupply point. We're going to use that to our advantage in the fact we can take a quick peek at the enemy Carnarvon Action 10, and once we've looked at them, we're now going to make our way to that resupply point, which is going to become readily available in just under 5 seconds. Now as we're doing this, right now in terms of my mentality, I realised at this point, goodness me, I was the first guy on my team to get General, and I haven't died yet. Let's see if I can finish a whole game of Frontline, and I'm not going to be passive and sit in the back of the map for the rest of this, but let's see if I can still contribute relatively so to the match, but not lose my vehicle. Unfortunately, by doing this, something about me as a player in World of Tanks, when I start to think about things in that regard, or any video game really, I start to put a lot of unnecessary pressure on myself mentally as a player, and that is going to materialise in a lot of very poor game decisions at this point. Now, looking at this 53 TP, we're not able to get a shot in. Our shell just went a little bit off to the side, and that would have been a lovely shot on the move. Cutting across here, looking towards around the centre of the town, Objective 4, potentially to get some shells in. We go for a little bit of a flank here on the southern side of Objective 4, and things work out reasonably well. And that's another tip I would offer up to those who are trying to improve on their scores in Frontline, or just help advance matches in general, whether you're on the attacking team or the defending team. Look, again, not just at the space, but also look at opportunities just in general to flank the enemy team, or look where your team are versus the enemy, and then look at where your team could get that crossfire from. Because a lot of time you'll get a herd mentality where one player goes, other players will follow. We saw that earlier to an extent with the Lance and Sea following us as we flanked around what would be anti-clockwise on Objective Echo. And now by flanking around here, we can see a 53 TP on our team and a Progetto 46 are trying to exploit this southern angle into Objective 4. And in return, we're throwing shells happily into this FV-4202 here. And we've got the enemy Lynx 6x6 who's throwing a shell at us. The 4202 is now looking towards us. We track them in place so our teammates can finish them off. That's a good amount of damage dealt there. That's another enemy vehicle eliminated out of the game. But at this point I decide, right, you know what? Taking considerable damage. The resupply point is going to be readily available again in a minute. Let's pull back and let's go and repair again. And it's already available. We do get spotted as we start to conduct our retreat back to the repair point. But it's at this point that I'm starting to think, right, I've played that angle in terms of playing the town. Where can I now play my vehicle to perhaps maximise and exploit it? And I'm quite in the mindset of trying to help take out Objective 4. In that our team seem to be all over it. But this is where as well you have to keep in mind that depending on how people want to play, players will either actually go out their way to try and take the objective out, which I suspect I was hoping that they'd be at a point of ripping Objective 4 to shreds right now, or they might be holding off and just trying to farm damage on enemy vehicles so that everybody has the chance and more time in order to be able to build up their ranks and build up their score for the game. Again, completely understandable because everybody wants to progress, and as I'm trying to make my way towards Objective 4 here, I get caught out of place by a 53 TP, who throws in a very powerful shell into my vehicle, and then I drive across the sight line of a Stritzwang S1, which rips another huge chunk out of my vehicle, and now I'm down to very little health, and I unfortunately can't exactly trade any more health away to deal damage. So now I've sort of wasted this repair, and I've got to wait to be in a position to repair again, and I'm looking over to the repair point and seeing it's only a minute to go, and I really don't want to lose the vehicle. So here what we can see is on the minimap that our team is actually starting to lose its comfortable position around Objective 4. What with the Stritzwang S1 taking out our Progetto 46 that was off to our left hand side there, we're going to use that as an opportunity to know the S1's going to be on a reload and we can pull back. And that's something you have to learn to do as well, and something I've found difficult, particularly as the attacking team. Reading the map as we take a very long distance shot there from the Lynx 6x6, fortunately that rolled average from their 90mm gun. If it had rolled high, that would have taken us out of the game, riding our luck for the third time in a particular instance in this match. And I decided, right, you know what, everything's collapsing around Objective 4 for our team at the moment. I'm going to pull back to south of Objective 3 and go for a repair. It's going to be safer there. And that's one last bit of advice I'd say, and something that I've had to do throughout this match, and did mention it a bit earlier when we were talking about Objective Echo and the play there. Read the map, read what your teammates are doing, and read what the enemy team are doing. Because if the numbers do not line in terms of your team having the superior numbers or the superior positioning, and you decide to try and push a position and you're by yourself in the end, you'll find out too late and you'll lose a spawn, and that could potentially put you out of the game for a couple of minutes if it's your last available spawn. And when I first started playing the Frontline mode this year in Stage 1, I got caught out by that multiple times, much to my own detriment, and at first I'd throw curses at the screen and say my team are being useless, but then I actually thought to myself, you know what, no, I'm being useless because I'm not learning to read a minimap. Now 30 seconds left, our Centurion 5-1 takes out Objective 3, that wraps up the game, we've survived to the end, and it's time to take a look at the post-game stats as we do a handbrake turn to celebrate the victory. With the battle over and victory obtained, we can see that our damage output consisted of 6,095 of our own damage and 2,041 assistance damage. As for the team scores, we can see that we placed 8th out of 30 on our team, with an experience tally of 2,718. Pleased with this result, I wasn't expecting to be the top player, seeing as I played quite passively in the final quarter of the game, trying to preserve my tank status, and making a number of misplays as well, even when I tried to push forward, but very happy with the net result. And coming on to our detailed report, we can see that after additions and deductions, we walked away with 92,485 silver credits. With that, that's all I've got time for today. I've been TX141. If you did enjoy this video, why not leave a like, comment or subscribe for future World of Tanks videos on my channel. But until next time, as always ladies and gentlemen, take care and good luck out there on the battlefield.